Hello everyone, this is the LEGO Indiana Jones 3 Fighter Plane Chase Set for 2023. This has 387 pieces and I built it live over on my Twitch channel. I paid $35 US for it, and if you see a View Products link on the screen, then you can click that to see some places where you can buy this. It comes with 3 minifigures, the plane, the car, and then just a small signed side build. In the movie, the plane represents a World War II German fighter plane, or possibly ground attack craft, but most likely representing a fighter. But it was actually played by a Pilatus P2, which is a trainer craft, a tandem two-seater. I think this does a pretty decent job of capturing the look of that craft at a reasonable size, small size, but it did have to be wider than you would want to see for this. Like ideally this would be 3 studs, maybe even down to 2, but more like 3 I think would be about the reasonable size. But unfortunately that would not actually fit a minifigure, so they needed to change the proportions a little bit to fit a minifigure. I think that turned out just fine. The nicest thing about this to me is the fact that the wings have just a little bit of dihedral there, so that's nice. They're just angled up slightly, which just makes things a little bit more interesting. I think the propeller, the 4-bladed propeller, is set up nicely here using the oar ends in the black color. You've got the suggestions of exhausts, you've got suggestions of cannons out on the sides, and the shaping overall of the canopy is pretty decent, but putting that canopy together is a major pain because it uses a large clear-backed sticker. So these are stickers from the same sheet here for the camo, also back here, and then this one is just one single thing. Now the lines don't come all the way down to the base here, so you get those big gaps, and in order for this to look right, you really need to get it lined up properly, left to right, front to back, and also angled appropriately. So I did use the so-called Windex method of just putting a little bit of water with a tiny bit of soap in it to give myself some more time to align this properly, and still isn't quite perfect in how everything settled down. Interestingly, the sticker sheet itself has a little bit of texture in it from the production process that I don't like. This has some suggestions of fire, so when it's in its tunnel form, when it's scraping on the ground, you got just little bits of fire there. You can actually pull one of these off fairly easily. It's not too much of an issue to pull these off and then just have this thing scooting along on the ground. Also, to make things a lot better, pull these off. Now you got your full-on realistic tunnel looking action, including even suggestions of fire and sparks inside of the fuselage. I think you're intended to keep the gear on, and there are different ways that you can remove the gear, but I just find that to be pretty simple to do the appropriate thing. Sorry, I just knocked something off. The appropriate in-movie thing where it should be on the other side, but it just passes by like that. I guess while I was showing the canopy, I should have also opened it up, so you can just simply remove that, see the space for one minifigure to sit in there, and there's a suggestion of a control stick as well as a couple of small printed tiles to the front. The car looks great to me. I think it's very accurate considering that it's a Lego thing and it's an 8+. It's not like an expert level build. It was actually fairly straightforward to put together. It felt like a good build, and the end result is something that looks, I think, very accurate. It's lower and wider in proportion than the actual car that was used in the movie, which was supposed to represent a particular Citroen, but I think it was actually a different car. Once again, a little bit of substitution, but this looks like what we saw on screen to me, with just the exception of the proportions again being a little bit lower and wider here. They use one of the newer fender pieces here to good effect. This is a really nice modern version of the classic adventurer car cabin based cars that had the 6-wide, very large specialized piece. This has very few specialized pieces, the fenders being the largest amongst those. They don't even use a specialized piece for the grille here, just a couple of cheese graters in the metallic silver color. Got a couple of BB-8 droid heads used for the headlight surrounds there. Nice shaping for the base of the bumper rather than just keeping it flat. Like, this looks good from many angles to me. pretty much all angles. Really simple technique to get the appropriate angle or an appropriate angle for the rear here as well. Sticker used for either door panel. Those actually are white backed in addition to being clear back. So it's clear, and then they printed white on top of that. So if you get a little bit of dust or something under there, you're not going to see it as easily as usual, but it is still a clear backed in terms of the material. And look at this. This has space for the trunk in there, which has a realistic-ish revolver and senior's umbrella there. And you also get a little briefcase, and you could also potentially put this in the briefcase if you wanted to, which is a brand new exclusive, well, Indiana Jones exclusive print, I believe. I just like the fact that a 1x1 tile will fit inside of here fully closed up, makes it harder to lose. And lastly, before we get to the minifigures, here's the side build, which is just a signpost with a sticker for each part up here. And it's just embellished a little bit on the base, which is nice. You know, it's worthy. The figures are obviously Indiana Jones, Jones Sr., and then an alternate timeline version of Anakin Skywalker if he never left Tatooine, and this is like his young adult pod racer form here. No, it's actually just fighter pilot, a completely unaffiliated fighter pilot, of course, because this is, you know, completely just fantasy world, has absolutely no attachment whatsoever, no reference to anything real, you know, especially not anything military related. This figure is golden to me. That 100% looks like Sean Connery to me, completely and utterly. The getup looks good, but most importantly, the face is spot on. Let me take the helmet off. That is Sean Connery from Indiana Jones. Just completely, hands down. Fantastic graphic design work there. This guy over here on the far right is a little bit generic as he's intended to be, and I think that works out just fine. No complaints from me about that. Nice to get the tan color for the helmet there. Indiana Jones himself has nice printing for the torso, a lot of depth there, down into the hips, down into the legs. Nothing on the sides. Good print around the back that matches the graphic design style, and then we've got the dual molded hat with the band around it in the dark dark brown, and then also hair integrated into that. And I like the idea, but I don't know if I like the execution. I feel like it's just a little bit too blocky, and with that face, it does not look like Harrison Ford to me. Somebody in the live stream build session suggested maybe it needed some more skin fold lines. I think that actually would have helped a lot to make it, you know, a little bit more like a Harrison Ford, like a Han Solo look. Just it doesn't. That actually looks a little bit better to me. That version, that face works better to me, but definitely this one back over here did not. Yeah, the general idea is there. The shape of the mouth is right, I think, for a Legoification. But I guess this one's a little bit more successful. Overall, it just doesn't feel like Harrison Ford to me personally. And also the shape of the hair that's on this hat piece, I think is a little bit too round. Looks like more dense hair to me. Yeah, it just doesn't quite work for me personally. But, you know, it's better to show that he actually did have hair than to not. Here are the leftover and extra pieces, including one each of the prints, a couple of extra shots for the stud shooters or tile shooters on the plane, and a realistic revolver. And here's what the sticker sheet looked like. So yeah, that one right there is rough. The others I think were fine. Again, I paid $35 US for this. It's 35 euros, I believe, 30 pounds UK, and it's 45 Canadian dollars. The Canadian price is the lowest of those. Don't forget about exchange rates. Don't just look at the number, of course. And I think that's reasonable for the amount of stuff you get here, especially in 2023. Everybody likes to say, oh, it's Disney with a Z and multiple E's. Therefore, it's going to be super overpriced because, you know, poor Lego, they're this suffering, very, very poor company that has just a few cents to their name. They need to pay licensing fees. Like, you've got to be kind to them. They've got to pay their licensing fees. How will they survive? How will they keep the electricity on if they don't charge more to make up for that? But as the data has shown time and time again, and as I've repeated over and over, clearly Lego spreads their licensing costs across entire product lines, and they price sets based on what they think they can get for them up front. And in this case, well, I think everybody got a good deal out of this. I think this is a perfectly fine play set for the intended 8+ market. Sorry about the focus. There we go. Yeah. Even young folks who know nothing about Indiana Jones before the release of the fifth and final movie, or know nothing about it after the release because they don't go see it, still can see this is just a plane and a car, and it's a decent deal that, I think parents would be happy spending that amount of money on this. And most of it is good. A few nitpicks along the way, but definitely that canopy is just mean. However, look at this. Look at this picture. That doesn't show the same sticker that we actually get. It's because when this material was prepared, they didn't have the final production sticker ready yet. That's not a final production sticker either, nor is that. None of those are on clear backed bases. Those are prototype stickers that are applied there, and this one is just kind of constructed from scratch with some strips that were carefully cut out, possibly laser cut, probably not die. Oh no, it might have been cut with a vinyl cutter, little plotter with a knife at the end of it. At any rate, that's not what it actually looks like. You can go, drama tube about that being false advertising if you want. I'm not going to. I'm just going to recognize it as what it is, a prototype image. They should have shown it more accurate, but no matter what, however the sticker, did I mess up the focus again? Hello? Okay. No matter what, it's a mean sticker for anybody. It's bad for adults. It's terrible for kids. And that just absolutely should have been a print. But worst case scenario, you can leave that off entirely, and the value of the set is still there. Just you want that detail on there if it's going to be used for display, in which case definitely at the very least use advanced techniques to apply it, which shouldn't have to for an 8+ set. But everything else I think is good, and the value is still good even with that. So those are my thoughts. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.